Change isn't just coming, it's already here. This is Ask for Change podcast, hosted by leadership expert Meridith Powell, brings you weekly conversations with leaders and experts who are redefining success in a world of disruption. Let's begin today's journey and turn uncertainty into your competitive advantage.
Let's turn uncertainty into your competitive advantage. Welcome. I am Meridith Powell, and it is time for the Ask for Change podcast. And today, I think we are going to have one of the most important conversations you can have when it comes to business today, the future of business, and of course, uncertainty. I have got a powerful guest for you. It is Adam O'Connor. He is the Chief Commercial Officer at Conectys. I'm hoping I pronounced that right. And he leads a global commercial strategy for one of the industry's leading BPO and trust and safety providers. He's got over 20 years in international sales and more than a decade in outsourcing. And he has helped scale companies from under 1 million to over 150 million in revenue. He is a vocal voice on AI's role in go-to-market transformation, writing and speaking on topics like AI-enabled sales, servant leadership, and the future of human AI collaboration in business. Welcome to the show, Adam. I got a lot of questions for you.
Thanks, Meredith. It's great to be here. Looking forward to it.
So back us up a little bit, kind of take us on your journey, and how did you get into this field? Did you start your career out in sales? Did you always want to be in sales from the time you were young? Take us down that path.
I don't think anybody dreams of being in sales, Meredith. I started off in a hotel. If I roll back a little bit further than that, even I was quite a good student, but I was a lazy student. I found that making people laugh and enjoying myself was more important than actually knuckling down and studying. Still done pretty well in my exams, and went to work in a hotel on the desk and enjoyed the lifestyle, enjoyed the things. And after doing that for a number of years, I decided I better go back to university. I started studying, and all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I really struggled with the subject, which was economics. And I can explain economics to you very easily now, but at the time, I just couldn't pass the exam. Luckily enough, there was a lady who was staying at the hotel who was a doctor of economics and said to me, "Hey, I've been watching how you operate. I've been watching how you're doing. I've just started this new business. If I help you pass your exam, will you come and work for the company for me?" So I can do it part-time when I'm working in the hotel and studying. Within sort of 3 months, I'd signed 2 pretty significant deals.
Wow.
And they asked me to go over to the Philippines to understand the operation and things like that. And I ended up staying there for, I think, around 11 years. It was meant to be a 3-month tour, but stayed there for 11 years, learned all about outsourcing, working, growing the company from a pretty small company. I was employee number 32. Up when I left, it was sort of 7,000 people.
Wow.
And everything through all of that. So yeah, that's kind of how I've got here, and all of the changes that have happened within that time as well has been significant and learned along the way. So yeah.
And so what really attracted you into AI, and when did you get involved? I'm curious as to, we sort of think of it as mainstream in the last couple of years, but I'm sure that those of you who's become experts in it really got into AI long before most of us even thought about it.
It was, yeah, I've been playing with AI for a long time, machine learning, moving into AI. The company that I joined, one of the CEO and founder, he was a very tech-minded person. He opened and hosted one of the largest web hosting companies within Australia when web hosting became a thing, and has been very tech. Had worked for Microsoft and a few of the other big boys. So I'd been exposed quite a lot to machine learning, the early stages of AI, and progressing through it, and kept an eye on it and looking at how you could improve your processes and what you could do. And from that, just really diving in and building my own sort of systems and things like that. So that's where we ended up with.
So when I was doing research on you, I loved this quote that I've heard you say, and it said that AI won't replace leaders; it'll expose them. And what do you mean by that? And what exactly is it going to expose about leaders?
So it'll expose leaders that don't embrace the right side of things. But AI is an amplifier. If you have processes that are correct and you add AI in with human elements added as well, it's a great accelerant to whatever you're doing. If you have bad processes, bad leadership, and you add AI in, it's what you put in comes out. So when I say that it's going to expose leaders, what I mean is it's going to show the people that understand how to bring processes together along with AI to amplify 10x what we can output. And we're already seeing some of that, but there's also a lot of people who are jumping headfirst into AI without actually understanding the best way of doing it and how to do it correctly, ethically. Um, you read about people putting contracts into ChatGPT and Claude and all of these things. You wouldn't walk down the street and give somebody who's walking the other way your contract to have a
Right.
look at. So people have to understand how to use AI and what to do with it. So I think putting guardrails in place, working ethically. I think there'll be people that are exposed who don't understand how to do it and what to do. But I also think that AI is a great amplifier and it's going to help humans rather than replace them. So I'm a big supporter of AI alongside humans rather than replacing them.
One of the things, I mean, I agree with you. I think AI is going to do something really kind of counterintuitive in our world today. And I mean, I tell my clients, and I'm not an AI expert, but I always tell my clients, I say that it's going to amplify the need for human connection and human touch. I mean, I think it's going to have that impact. But where do you, everybody's talking about this whole idea of the blend of AI and human connection. Where do you start in your organization? And the other thing I want to ask you about is, to me, the biggest challenge around that is that, in all honesty, I think since about 2008, we've taken critical thinking out of the workforce. And the reason I say 2008 is because that was the crash of 2008 and the economy went south, and leaders came back in and held on with both hands. Like, they didn't give away decision making power, understandably, because the companies were struggling and things like that. And we just started to come out of that when COVID hit again, and we went right back into it. And the research that my company does, we find that older millennials, which are the ones that are moving into the C-suite, are the ones most nervous and feel most unprepared to lead in an uncertain marketplace because they haven't kind of, built the muscle to do it. So, when you think about blending AI and human connection, add to the fact that it is going to change how humans need to operate in the workforce. Talk about that anywhere you want to talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right about the millennials coming into the C-suite now. They haven't been through everything, whereas people of my age have been through this 2 or 3 times already and
Yeah.
understand that there's always doomsayers. There's always people saying that this is, it's going to go, learning how to deal with that. But I think decision making, you can split into a number of different fields. It's not just you're going to be the critical thinker and things. Your research, you can have AI help you with. You can have AI help you do. AI is always going to be faster at putting things into a spreadsheet, sorting them out, and everything than a human can. Dealing with data, AI is better. But empathy, understanding edge cases, working together with people. I don't know about you, Meredith, but I get maybe 10 to 20 messages on LinkedIn per day that are AI generated, have no soul within them, and you can tell straight away as soon as you get it. And there's a lot of people at the moment with AI fatigue, as I like to say, because you just get blasted constantly.
Mhm.
When email was all the rage and sending DMs, I used to send handwritten notes to people, and people used to comment because it was different. It's sort of going back to the old age that when you get a handwritten note or a card from somebody, you don't get that in the post anymore, and it makes you stand out. So working out how to use technology in the places that help you expand and do more, but not take away that human element, because as you say, the human touch is always going to be there, and the empathy and the understanding. I don't think I don't think we're anywhere close to AI even being able to replicate that. So
Yeah. How do you see AI changing the workforce in terms of number of employees needed, and how does the leader go about deciding what's going to go to AI and what's going to remain in human connection? I think a lot about sales.
mhm.
It's still amazing to me the number of sales professionals that are not embracing AI, and still some companies that don't want AI used. I mean, there's a fear around it, right? And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
and then how do you determine? I mean, is it sort of we throw a little bit of mud at the wall, kind of see what sticks, adjust and change? Like, what is your advice around that?
I think first of all you need to understand your own process. Either if you've built the process yourself or you're in the process all the time, you have to have a look at where to put AI. Don't think that AI is this magician's wand that's going to come in and fix your process completely. So, for example, AI is fantastic at helping you find leads and finding the people to contact, giving you a brief before you go onto a call about the person, about their background, help you with talking points. But it's not going to the amount everybody seemed to jump on and be a go-to-market expert with AI and fire. I can send you 10,000 emails a day, 10,000 messages on LinkedIn a day. But what they don't tell you is the amount of burn you do to potential customers when you do that. And they look at it from the AI slop, as it were, they say. Um, so I think there has to be a real balance. I mean, you can use AI to help within the process, help you to draft something, but make sure that you rewrite that into your voice, into your way of thinking, into connecting with the person that you're trying to reach out to. The same
Yeah.
with phone calls. I mean, we do a lot of work in CX. We use AI bots for voice, for chat, and things, but there has to be an escalation path. If it's a very simple case that you're trying to solve, AI is fantastic at that, and it can do it quicker than a human, and you don't have to worry about AI being sick or on holiday. But when it becomes an edge case, AI doesn't have the empathy for something that's happened to somebody and they've missed a payment for a couple of days. It doesn't understand that they were
Yeah.
in hospital and things like that. So there needs to be, when you're thinking about how to implement AI into your business and how to help you achieve sales, customer retention, whichever you're looking at, think about the end goal and where AI can help that process to be quicker, be better, be help your customers be happier. But also think about the edge cases where you need that human touch to really feel your customer and make them come back and understand that their wants and their needs are seen to properly.
Yeah. Do you know, can you give us any examples of companies that are really using it well?
Uh, we're working with quite a few companies that are using it well. Unfortunately, I can't tell you their
Yeah,
names
sure. Yeah.
because of NDAs. But there's been some cases with companies that have been in the news that have gone fully into AI. I mean, Klarna was one of the big talked about ones. They got rid of their whole customer service and sales side and put AI bots in there. And I think about 6 months later, they had to go and try and rehire all of the humans because it wasn't working, and they had to pay a 20 to 25% premium on hiring those people. So
Wow.
there's been quite a few cases like that where people have jumped into AI too quickly, thinking that it's the right thing to do, and then had to roll it back. So
Yeah, what it reminds me of is a million years ago. I mean, I'm really dating myself here, but it's like when First Union Bank here in the US created the whole bank of the future, and they took all the people out and just created a model where everything would be self-service. Great idea, a lot of what we all do today, but it was too much too soon. It didn't kind of
exactly.
gradually move us into here.
And
Yeah.
and that's exactly it. I think you've got to have a roadmap and do it gradually to help people. And don't be afraid to A/B test things to see what works for your customers and what doesn't.
Mhm.
Use the AI on certain things. If it works, great. If it doesn't, but also have the humans there at the same time. And I think if we use Klarna's example, they could have taken 50% and given it to AI, had a look, and still kept that 50% of their time there. So
Yeah, exactly. Kind of gradually and maybe year over year add a few new things and
Exactly.
yeah and yeah. So talk to me about, I'm so interested in, there you are, you start out, you're working behind a desk, you one of 7 employees, the organization goes to 7,000. What's involved in, so many of our listeners have questions about scaling a business, and I want to start really simple. What does it mean to scale a business, and what are some of the successes you've seen with it, and some of the biggest mistakes you see as you work with organizations looking to scale businesses?
You so every business, obviously every business is different, but every business kind of starts off the same way. They do their accounting through Excel. Everything's sort of manual. You're working through things, and as you expand, you realize that the processes that you've built aren't built for scale. So you have to then start bringing in your accounting software. You have to start bringing in your CRM to track everyone. You have to bring in your calendars. And working through those and making sure that the people who are working with you are up for the journey as well is so important, because when you're starting a business, or the business is quite small, it's rough and ready. As it becomes bigger and bigger, it becomes more like a cruise liner. It's a lot harder to turn and work with
Yeah.
things. I mean, so preparing correctly, understanding the software needs for your business, and what the AI needs for your business, and implementing them in roadmaps where it makes sense, rather than trying to jump, rather than trying to put everything together all at once. There has to be a learning curve and working together. Also, when you start a business, you don't have all the different departments. As you get to a certain
Yes.
stage, you've then got all of the other departments that you have to bring together, and all of the other sign-offs, and everybody needing to understand. So it's learning that and working together with everybody. Make the number one thing, Meredith, is making sure that everybody's together and pulling in the right direction. Because as you start scaling, some people aren't as comfortable in larger organizations as they are with smaller organizations. So
So is it that you really have to focus on culture first, and culture in the sense of right fit?
I think so. I think so. I think from my experience and my perspective, I've been in great cultures. I've been in not so great cultures, and the great cultures always expand a lot quicker, sticky. People going out of their way to help each other. Everybody pulling in the right direction. And it sounds crazy, but you can be in a culture for a company that's expanded, but you have everybody with their own goals and their own looking out for themselves rather than looking as a
Mhm.
collective. And when you're in that situation, expansion and more revenue and keeping your customers happy becomes really, really difficult. So I think the cultural fit and the team fit is probably the number one thing that I would look for.
And when it comes to scaling, when I have worked with companies who are looking to scale or going through the process of scaling, their biggest hangup, their biggest problem is this whole idea of balancing becoming bigger. Because the beautiful thing about being small is you could break a few rules, because who's really going to sue you? Who's really going to come after you? You can ignore a few things, but the moment you get a little bit of weight under you and money behind you, the risk to the company becomes so much more. But it's this balance of, in fact, I'm working with a CEO right now. They started out when I started with them at 47 million. We scaled to 600 and looking to go over a billion here pretty soon. And the biggest hangup is losing the entrepreneurial spirit. And I tell you, they're
Yeah.
having some challenges.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest hang up in most companies who are expanding is the loss of the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
It's the governance that comes with being a big company, but it has its advantages and its disadvantages. It's and it goes back to almost the servant leadership that I practice as well, Meredith. Some people are happy at the level that they're at. Not everybody wants to expand up to that
Right.
billion and deal with all of that. So I think there has to be a choice whether you really want to push on and do this, or you want to stay in that entrepreneurial spirit and you're happy with the whatever you're making now. Um, but it's a journey. It's not easy. It can be frustrating. I mean, I've been through quite a lot of it myself, and it's interesting. I really enjoy it. So, but I prefer the entrepreneurial spirit as well as
Yeah,
the
me too.
as the
The
responsibility.
rules make me crazy, but I understand, as I tell my clients, it's one thing to get sued when you're, a $10 million company. It's a whole nother thing to get sued when you're an $800 million company, right? I mean, it's,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's a lot to lose and a lot more, a whole lot more exposure there. What does AI governance look like in today's world? And do organizations, even if they're at the baby steps of putting in AI, should they adopt some type of AI governance policy or program or something like that?
Absolutely. I mean, ISO have released an AI standard, which we have at Conectys now as well. I think we're one of the first BPOs to follow it. But even if you're just starting out, making sure that you have a AI governance page, AI governance policy is really important. As I touched upon earlier, people put contracts into AI, into chatbots, into things like this, and don't understand that can become really it can become public knowledge essentially by putting it in there. And if you don't train and enforce the policies with your employees, they they don't know, they don't understand. So making sure that you're consistent across the board, making sure that you're using the right tools. If you're using ChatGPT, Claude, any of the sort of chats, making sure that you're using a corporate version rather than the personal version because there's different processes behind that. Making sure that your staff understand how to use it effectively, making sure that you're not putting any personal information in there from customers or anything like that, because obviously that can cause a lot of issues as well as you go along there. But I think you really have to start at the beginning. And we've heard it so many times before. AI is a bubble; it's going to disappear. AI is here to stay, and I think everybody needs to get on board with that and stop trying to push it. It's just how you use it and what you do with it. So if it's here to stay, you know, the web when it came along was a fad, web pages, the
Yeah.
internet, all of these things before, but an AI is having the same thing now. It'll be here for forever. How we use it, what we do with it, how we make ourselves better with it is something that we have to embrace, and learning how to do it safely is really, really important. So
Well, I think that's one of the most interesting things about researching is I mean, you look at Connectus and it's all about, works in the area of trust and safety, which almost seems like the complete opposite of AI, right? I mean, like, when I mean, we hear so many things about the breaches when it comes to AI, and you do take a level of risk. How do you kind of balance this whole speed of making sure that the company is embracing, using, and pretty much it looks like on the forefront of AI adoption, with ensuring that you get it right because you are in the business of trust and safety?
everything has a good side and a bad side. It could be used for good and for bad. So you know, AI can generate images, and we've all heard stories about this, and videos and deep fakes and things like this. But that same AI can also detect them and help you find it quicker and get the process down. So it's how you harness the the work and making sure that you understand all of the new governance, you understand all of the new technology that's coming out, and you use it as a counterbalance. Because you understand it, that makes you better at the trust and safety side of things. It makes you understand the tools that are going to help you find the deep fakes and work through them. So balancing that and making sure that you understand everything that AI can do, and implement the good parts, make sure that you understand how to stop the bad parts, and work with companies on that is how we do it. So
Yeah. It's hard to believe, but we are at the end of the podcast, and we always finish with two questions, and you can answer them in any order that you want to. One, how do people find out about you? How do they find out about Connectus? How do they find out about your work? Because the information that you're writing and talking about as it relates to AI is really, in my opinion, very innovative and very different. I mean, I kind of find the information on AI out there landing in one of two buckets. It's either this is what you do with this AI and this is how you use it. And or it's kind of in the bucket of the whole human connection, and but very rarely is it being tied together. So how do people find out about you? And then for those listening to us who are worried and concerned about the amount of uncertainty in the marketplace, and listening to the news this morning, I think there's going to continue to be so much uncertainty in the marketplace. What's your greatest piece of advice for how they turn uncertainty into their greatest competitive advantage?
So you can find more about me at Conectys.com. That's CONECTYS.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Adam O'Connor. You can look me up, and always happy to talk to anybody. And turning uncertainty into their greatest strength. I think, there's lots and lots of people that have been affected, and we've all seen the news on what's been going on with everything, with the layoffs and everything. But I think if you look throughout history, there's always an overbalance. We go through stages where all of a sudden everybody thinks AI is going to take over everybody. Let's cut all of the jobs. Let's do all of this. But the pendulum will swing back. Some of the lower level jobs will have to shift and change with AI and understand. But use the time to actually understand AI, make yourself a better person at your job, whatever your role may be, and implement AI to make you 10x what you can actually do. And I think that's really what I would be suggesting, and the advice I would give people.
Great advice, Adam. This has been really helpful, informative, and even a little bit motivating. So thank you so much for joining us. We will continue to follow you, listeners. I will have all of that in the show notes so that you can continue to follow up. And next week we have got another guest and another opportunity to turn all of this uncertainty into your greatest competitive advantage. We'll see you next time.